There's been a story this week that we have to talk about here at the top of the show, and I thought the big thing this week would be just reviewing the AEW pay-per-view, knowing that they typically go somewhere between 8 and 45 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Figured there'd be a lot of things to talk about. But I woke up to a bunch of people sending me footage, and to this point right now, it hasn't stopped. I don't know if I've ever seen something that didn't take place in WWE that was big, or like CM Punk showing up in AEW. I don't know if I've ever seen the reaction from the listeners to a story, and this is the story of someone most of us had not really heard of before. Raja Jackson, the son of Rampage Jackson, the legendary mixed martial artist and UFC fighter, and an appearance, I don't even know if that's what we call it. There may be more appearances coming in the future. But,
yes, I think some of them will be mandatory.
But he was at a show in Southern California, I believe, or at least in California, called Knox Wrestling or Championship Wrestling. Let's talk about this story.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, because you can't even really explain to people who, if you've lived under a rock and haven't heard about this, we'll try to go over what happened, but like you said, the attention, because it just came out of nowhere, and it's not even, it's really incidental, and it's about wrestling. It's just about this celebrity MMA fighter's moron son that, commits attempted murder after admitting that he's going to do it, then does it, and his own cameraman shoots it and streams it to the world. So that kind of, was one of those things that tripped everybody's trigger. Before we delve into this any further, because it is related to wrestling, the summation in all of this is that I think that old Raja Jackson needs to go to prison for quite some time, where he can contemplate the choices he's made in his life. So I'm not absolving him of any responsibility for being a fucking lunatic. But everybody involved in this at some level is an idiot, unprofessional. Situation shouldn't have been even allowed to happen. And it's just an example of why that I am so goddamn disgusted with the wrestling business, both at a major level and at the small time level, the Outlaw Mud Show level. And the only good person that I can see in this, or that actually more than good, the only sane, rational human being that did anything right was the guy, and I forgot his name now because I've never heard any of these people, but the guy that pulled Raja off of the guy that he was trying to kill.
Oh, his name was Doug something. I just saw an interview with him. He came across like a stand-up guy.
Well, and again, if you Google any report about this thing, it'll have all these people's names. But here's the problem. Here's the multitude of problems. We may be here for a minute. None of this should have ever taken place. What the people saw, apparently this, not only Raja Jackson, but his father does it too. They just wander around their daily life with somebody next to them with a fucking camera phone broadcasting them taking a shit, making coleslaw. I don't know what the fuck. Why are they just sitting around on camera on the internet? These people, what's happened?
They're trying to make money.
How is this?
They try to make money with it.
How would you make money? What the fuck?
They're making content. They're influencers. I don't know who they're influencing.
The content that I saw was either this guy, Raja, standing around fucking cutting incoherent promos and raving about shit, or his father, Rampage, was sitting with some other guy watching something that we couldn't fucking see.
Look, I don't know how many people are watching it, but this was a live stream to an audience that apparently was giving him feedback after the initial confrontation, egging him along, and he was telling them, yeah, I'm going to do something.
Okay, but this is news to me that people would just walk around with a camera broadcasting their, you know, walking down the street. Oh, I wonder if there's a place to take a piss around here type of day. And that anybody would give a shit to watch it. So that's first thing. So these people are fucked up. So then apparently Knox Pro Wrestling, which is at least in name owned by Rikishi, and it's allegedly a wrestling school. More on that in a minute. But they're having a show, and again, you know, Rikishi wasn't there, and I don't know. Is this one of those things where a lot of guys own wrestling schools and a lot of guys just, oh, it's Sam Smith's wrestling school and somebody else pays Sam Smith to say that? I don't know what's going on. It looks like there's a family involvement, which may mean that, you know, it's been the Samoan family tradition. When one of the guys does well, he spreads the wealth around that rest of the family. So did he buy a brother-in-law wrestling school? I don't fucking know. But they're doing a show. And one of the wrestlers, the guy in the cowboy hat, the dick that the hero of the piece is blaming for stirring all this shit up. What's his name? Can you remember his name?
I had never seen or heard of him before. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember.
Cowboy hat fella. There's a guy walking around wearing a cowboy hat. He knows Raja Jackson. And he has Raja Jackson, the son of Quentin Rampage Jackson, come to the show to hang out with him. And he brings him to, oh, goddamn. The dressing room was a parking lot with a tent behind some cars. And hey, you know what? I've been on some low budget propositions before. And, you know, in the various training centers that I've been involved in or fucking spot shows or whatever. But it's a bunch of guys. Honestly, it's a bunch of fucking guys that do this for fun on the fucking weekends, sitting around in lawn chairs next to a tent in a fucking parking lot, joining a building where they're having a wrestling show where what was the crowd, Brian? Was there 50 people? Did they have room to get 50 people in there?
It was a small building and a small crowd. I don't know how many.
Okay. And this promotion, because Rikishi owns it, or it's the family thing, I'm sure they got a favor deal. They have one of those WWE ID affiliations, or they did. More on that in a moment. But it's, I can tell by the guys and the manner of which was going on. This is a bunch of guys that do this for fun on the fucking weekends. If anybody thinks they're going to fucking be a star off of this proposition, because number one, the guy that is Psycho Stu, who again, he did nothing stupid, maybe ignorant to the business, isn't a reason to have your head bashed in while you're unconscious. Don't even know what's happening. But he's sitting there when Roger Jackson walks up and is talking to some of the other guys, and he sees, I guess, whoever the guy was filming him. And apparently the story is, and the video backs it up, that he thought they were doing an angle or shooting something or working something. So he wants to get in on it, and he gets up and comes up, and I don't know, Brian, you couldn't really hear what they said. It didn't last long, but he didn't challenge the guy. Oh, you don't know me? No, I don't know you. I'm Psycho Stu. He was trying to get on camera, and he picks up one of the empty beer cans. They're drinking before the show. And also this guy, and I'm going to say this, he's a veteran, Psycho Stu. They said that he did this to deal with his PTSD, but I also saw somebody say that he's been there for like 10 years. So sometimes there's guys like that everybody knows them, everybody likes them in the school. They're eccentric. Even sometimes, even in the territories, Mike Sharp used to like take 20 showers a day. But they're a little different, or they don't quite pick up on it. But apparently, Stu picks up one of the empty beer cans and hits the guy over the head with it, Raja, who doesn't sell it because he's like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And then Stu says, you ain't going to sell it? He didn't know what the fuck's even going on. And I saw one report said, well, it was a gimmicked beer can. There's no such thing as a gimmick beer can, idiots. It's just an empty beer can. You're not going to kill somebody with this, hit them like that. It's just one of these stupid hardcore things that fat guys who play wrestler on the weekends think is cool from ECW, because Sandman used to do it. You just hit the fucking guy. It hurts. It might cut you if you get him right, but it's not going to. But the point is, he hits the guy with the beer can, and Raja is like, what the fuck is this? And he starts to bow up. And Brian, then one of the Samoan bloodline family was that he looked like Alpha the Samoan if he was dehydrated. I don't know who this fucking guy is.
Someone told me it was the Black Pearl, who I believe is actually the son of Alpha and Sika's older brother, but I'm not certain. But that's what I was told by someone.
I don't know, but he looks like he's 100. And I guess he's supposed to be the veteran, or in some way, is he an official person here? He's the one who stands up. You know, brother, he's not a worker. He's not a worker. Here's another thing. Nobody that's actually a worker just says to people, or they didn't used to, not till everybody thinks they're smart when they come into wrestling school because they're already internet smart. But he would say he's not a worker. He's a kayfabe. He's not with it, whatever, but he's not a worker. We didn't call each other workers to begin with. We were working and we were workers, but to each other, we didn't say, hi, fellow worker. They're all fucking internet smart. So dehydrated Alpha gets up and tries to cool him down. And the cowboy hat guy comes in, and I think he was there getting in the middle of that, right? But then apparently they talk him down. And they tell Stu, no, this guy, he's not shooting an angle. He doesn't know what the fuck you're doing. And they tell the dehydrated Alpha tells Raja, oh, yeah, he think we're always working. We're always working here. He thought we were working. Have I described this so far like it actually stupidly happened, Brian?
Yeah, and also you brought up this is all outside. This is the middle of the day, so the sun's just...
It looks like they're hiding behind 3 or 4 parked cars next to a tent in some chairs with a fucking table full of beer cans.
Your first thought isn't they're backstage at a wrestling show.
No.
So yeah, the confrontation happens. Apparently, Psycho Sue was alerted that this wasn't a worker, this wasn't an angle or whatever he thought, and he apologized or tried to make amends several times, and those are on camera.
Yes, and the guy even finally said, okay, we're cool. But then they have a brilliant idea, a wonderfully, brilliantly evil idea. They come up and they tell Stu, well, we're going to make something out of it. Make something out of what? What the fuck? Suddenly people are going to descend on this location to buy tickets to see what the fuck? It's wrong on so many levels. Nobody knows who any of these people are except Roger Jackson, who wandered into this, and he's a goddamn mental case if we haven't mentioned that. And what the hero of the piece that saved Stu later on,
Doug Mallow, apparently is his name.
Doug Mallow claims in a podcast that Cowboy Hat Fellow didn't like Stu and wound up Raja Jackson, and somehow the promotion, aka Dehydrated Alpha, decides to go along with this by putting Raja Jackson in a spot in the match where he's going to leave the front row of ringside and go in and tackle Psycho Stu and get his receipt back. And the cowboy hat guy is on camera explaining, I told you what a receipt is, right? And again, and there's so many of these fucking goofy, smart mark, internet smart, alleged fans, alleged experts, MMA fans, whatever, that just think that they know all the terminology and they're so goddamn with it. As Frank Spaceman Hickey would say, with it, not with it. He was just going to get, that's his receipt. You fucking idiot. A receipt is when somebody's careless and fucking throws a kick to your chest and kicks you in the fucking lip and gives you a bloody lip. And when you grab them in a fucking headlock and you goddamn take your knuckle and you fucking pap them on the fucking cheek or something like, go motherfucker. Or one of those, Vader Hansen type of receipts where they just club you on the side of the fucking head once to wake you up. Or whatever, but not goddamn attempted murder and intentional brain damage. But all of these every wrestler on this show, apparently, with the exception of Doug, is internet smart. And they're all a bunch, and this guy wound them up to where they have this guy come in and do a fucking spot on poor old Stu, who may very well be psycho. Maybe he was drinking. Maybe just not that bright. Again, not an excuse for attempted murder. And somehow this passes by the chain of command in this goddamn flea market they're running out there, where this is all okay. And then finally, now the Raja Jackson is sitting in the front row with his camera guy in Stu's match waiting for his spot. And he's saying, they told me to go in there and take him down and hit him. Well, I'm going to hit him as many times as I can before they pull him off of me. You watch and see. And he's predicating and admitting in advance to everything he's about to do. And he's broadcasting it. And then when you know who won the pony, when his time comes, he goes in there, double leg dives the guy, snaps him down. If the guy didn't hit the back of his head and was still conscious after the first punch, he wasn't, because he just drilled him right in the face. And then, what did they say, Brian? Was it 22 or 23 punches
23.
that he threw as hard and as fast as he could? I don't think more than 16 connected, though. And he's in a ring full of people. Nobody's doing any goddamn thing.
Well, apparently, from what I heard, the first person in there who tried to do something and there was nothing he could do was only 17 years old.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Remind me when I talk about legal liability later on here in the episode. The first person to get to the scene of that, not to get to the scene, but to react to the scene of the attempted murder is a minor. Then he tries to pull his maniac off, and of course that doesn't work. And then Doug comes. And Doug's looks pretty fucking stout to me and apparently has some experience. And he's trying to pull the guy off, Raja, and he's pulling him off, and Raja tries to double leg him. And it wasn't quite so easy as the guy was working with him a minute ago. And he didn't let him. He fucking snatched him. And apparently, as more people then came on, Raja punched him in the eye, Doug, and busted his eye open. So Doug headbutted him and drilled him back.
Yeah, in that interview that he did, Doug said in his mind as it was happening, and you can't really doubt this, if Raja Jackson had succeeded in taking him down with a double leg, he would have tried to kill him too. This was a
Well,
guy that was
yeah.
going to just do this and no until someone stopped him, it seemed like.
Well, he was already beaten of I mean, anybody hadn't seen this, it's just ridiculous. And he's supposedly a Raja Jackson, a trained fighter, and like George Goulas. He's the George Goulas of MMA, apparently, because his father, otherwise nobody would know who this fucking waste of sperm was. But if people are saying, well, he's a trained fighter, he can't fake it like the wrestlers. No, this is, if you're a trained fighter or a talented amateur, this is attempted murder of an unconscious body. There's no defense whatsoever.
It wasn't landing punches on someone who's trying to defend themselves and they're blocking you. This was a downed opponent who was out cold. Then he decided to start throwing as many punches as he could.
Yes, and the thing is, so when Doug's pulling him off, and Doug is actually a fucking challenge, if Raja got a fucking chance to get on top of him, what do you think he'd have fucking done? Because now you've got to be scared. Oh shit, somebody fucking fighting back here. I got to panic even more because he was in the zone. Because apparently the 42 fucking people that watched this guy wander around his life on camera were winding him up like, you let that guy get away with that, hitting you in the head with that can and everything. And I guess now people are saying that his father verbally abuses him, belittles him, fucking is just a dick or whatever in some fashion. So this guy's got mental, and did you love that? Hold on, I may be jumping ahead, but goddamn it, just all this is so crazy. Old Rampage, when he puts out a statement saying, "Oh, I can't believe my son did this, and I'm so ashamed," or whatever he said, but he did suffer a concussion in sparring a few days ago. He's already setting up a brain damage defense because his goddamn little felon fucking bitch pussy son is trying to kill unconscious people. So anyway, back to this fucking deal. So again, not only were there people in the ring, this was the referee, the rest of the match was happening, whatever. And Doug, who was over by the stage, apparently not like it's a big building again, but this is by his words, he was at the stage and he saw it and had to run in. Other people could have chose to, and they didn't. And then when the pull apart and he gets his eye busted and he headbutts the guy and they pull Jackson out of the fucking ring and they're taking him out, somebody else in the match covered the fucking guy that had just been goddamn beaten to a pulp and is bleeding out of his face everywhere, covered him, and the referee counted it. Can you rewind that and just have me say that again? Because I don't know if I can get those words out again.
And I guess at that point, too, that's when he was also choking on his own teeth and blood.
Yes, he was in the process of choking on all of the teeth that it was described as a lot that got knocked out, and the blood that was not only coming from inside of his mouth, but also in various parts of his face. Somebody covers him, and the referee counts it because they got to get the finish in. And again, what kind of goddamn dog and fucking pony show? See, that's the thing is, and I told you earlier today, I said we ought to get Jay Sharknado to dig up when we talked about the developmental program, I don't know how months and months ago, and all the thousands of hours of audio we've done. and I talked about being the guy booking the third-party appearances and bookings for the talent in the 90s when I was in Stamford and working in the office. And how if the guys, autograph sessions, yes, but also if the guys that didn't get booked often then and weren't on big contracts, if they could work for some independent promoters, as long as they paid a booking fee and we knew that the promoters were somewhat legitimate, they would be allowed to do that. And it was a boon to the guys that ran decent shows. But eventually, after I left, because nobody wanted to fuck with it, they just said, well, nobody can wrestle anymore. Actually, I think right before I left, they said, nobody can wrestle anymore because we don't want to fuck with these people. Because something might happen to get them in the fucking newspaper. Or get them on TV and there's a WWE guy. standing next to the scene of the fucking crime or whatever. 30 years later, nothing has changed. That's why this WWE ID thing, and they give it out to this again. It's in the family. Oh, it's Rikishi's thing. Okay, whatever. But Jesus H. Christ, Rikishi ought to know better if his name's going to be on it. If he ain't there, he ought to have people that know what the fuck they're doing. And you can tell that they don't actually, none of them know what the fuck they're doing. To be honest with you, this wrestling school, allegedly, in quotation marks, because none of these people would be in a legitimate one. Except for Doug. Because everybody else looked like a goddamn bunch of fucking buffucking-foons. So anyway, they drag Roger Jackson out and they take him out the building and he starts walking down the street with his cameraman saying, I'm tired of these motherfuckers taking advantage of me. I ain't playing. And he's just walking down the street, said, further admitting, confessing to, yeah, this motherfucker ain't going to fly with me. And then some of the fucking wrestlers, allegedly, in quotation marks, that were on the show were brave enough to come to within a block of him and yell horrible words at him. After he just beat up one of the boys on the fucking cart and put him in a hospital. How did that motherfucker get out of the building? I mean, Jesus H. Christ. What do you think if somebody to fucking in Crockett, almost nobody liked Tully, but if somebody had beat the fuck out of Tully, he would have got 10 feet. The whole rest of the card would have ripped him into pieces.
Hey, Travis Scott smack Cody in the ear. Just walked in the back smiling and high-fiving everyone. Everyone told me he did a great job. But you have to think if there was an assault like that, you'd have to think there'd be a line of people, if not running to the ring, waiting for the person to get in the back. You would have to think that.
Well, they didn't go to the back. He went out the side or whatever. I'm talking about, there wouldn't have been a wait to come to the back. And there was no back in this goddamn building. There was plenty of ass, but no back. All those other wrestlers were standing a fucking around with their dicks in their fucking hands. They probably couldn't find their own dicks because they were such pussies. And one guy is the guy to get on this motherfucker. Again, and then they call an ambulance and fucking take him, and he was critical but stable was the description after the fact. I don't know that one of those doesn't contradict the other. I guess you get, well, he's no change. He's still fucking critical. But I know, let me try to walk this through step by step and explain how in any kind of legitimate professional environment, not only just because they're affiliated with the WWE, but just taking pride in anything you fucking do. Or is it just a money grab for the in-laws or the dehydrated alpha or whatever? But I'm not even going to talk about, oh, we'd have done it this way at Ohio Valley Wrestling, even though I'm going to talk about that in part. But the reason why we did it that way was because it was the way that it was done every goddamn where else that I'd ever been, that had ever been successful or professional or fucking just not allow stupid things like this to happen. Because this is another one of those modern phenomenons that could never happen in the legitimate professional wrestling industry. Everybody's internet smart. Yes, if you have a low budget school and you got a low budget show, then by all means dress out in a parking lot under a tent. There's no shame in that. You don't have to be too poor to paint and too proud to whitewash. That's fine. But the first thing is, nobody needs to be drinking beer, even if it's a Saturday afternoon and it's good weather because it's California. There's no drinking until after the show, number one. Number two, how the fuck did Roger Jackson just wander into even if it's the dressing room, Even if the dressing room is outdoors in a parking lot, it's in the back. It's not accessible to the public. A guy brought him in there that's friends with him. Hey, my friend, come on down and hang out with me, and I'll take you back here and we'll talk to all the boys. No.
On camera.
Oh, well, I'm not even there yet. Just the idea of, I'm sorry. If it's a friend of yours or your brother-in-law or your fucking wife or your sister or your uncle or whoever the fuck family member or member of your social circle it is, they ain't in the fucking locker room. They're just not there. The people that are allowed in the locker room, and I know everybody's going to say in the WWE, they've got camera personnel and it's okay, fuck you. I'm talking about a goddamn wrestling show. And especially at a wrestling school where you're supposed to teach these principles. Nobody in the locker room except the boys that are on the card, whether it be wrestlers, referees, managers, anybody that's on the card, part of the show, your ring announcer and your local promoter. And that's it. In the territories, even the goddamn uniformed police weren't often allowed in the locker room. And a lot of building managers had to be insulted, but we're renting the building for these 4 hours tonight, so you can't go in the locker room. It was for a variety of reasons, to protect kayfabe, to cut down on, because guys, especially when it was a cash business, or guys had jewelry or shit, the fewer guys in the locker room, something goes missing, fewer suspects. And also because it was just goddamn protocol. And you didn't, on spot shows, a guy might bring his kid and the kid, we'd send the kid to run errands. You know, like that type of thing. That was a little bending the rules, but whatever the fuck. But there was not this goddamn, oh, we can just bring anybody. If Cowboy Hat Guy had wanted to bring the son of a celebrity, whether he's an MMA fighter or a goddamn noted goddamn contortionist on the Ed Sullivan Show, he should have gone to whoever was running the show, either as the booker or as the promoter, and said, I've got a celebrity's kid, wants to meet the boys. And then you set up a separate fucking deal. And so in OVW or in any other promotion that I've worked in or been responsible for, number one, the cowboy hat guy would have got yelled at for bringing the guy back to begin with. And then secondly, with a camera broadcasting to the world, no, not even for kayfabe reasons, but also for what if a guy walks out of the fucking porta potty with his dick out? But, and again, there weren't the camera phones in OVW or in the territories, but people had video cameras. You know, if a guy had come in, that's what I'm talking about. This school is a bogus fucking insult to wrestling schools. If they have no more structure, no more discipline, no more control than what they have, and they have taught any of these guys no more than what they've taught them. If a guy came in with a visitor, unauthorized, he'd have been kicked out in the OVW locker room. If a guy came with a camera or a friend with a camera, he would have not only been booted, he might have been fucking expelled in the locker room without permission. Then, if any of the boys sitting around happened to see somebody with a camera and some other people talking and just went up and inserted themselves in it for whatever reason without being told, he would have got cussed out. And if he'd have picked up a fucking can and hit a guy that he's never seen before and hadn't been told to, he would be expelled and told to get the fuck out now. Except if, like, Psycho Stu is one of those guys that maybe he doesn't pick up on things too quick and it's just him. Okay, Stu, you can't be doing that, but you got cussed nevertheless at the time. If you're just a regular person, he would have got expelled. And instead of dehydrated Alpha standing up and just joshing, in my position, I would have been the one cussing at the guy for hitting the other guy in the head with a can, cussing at the guy for being in the locker room, cussing at the guy for bringing the guy in the locker room, and cussing at the guy with the fucking camera phone. Get the fuck, all of you get the fuck out of here. So there's that. But then they decided to make something out of it and put him in a spot, which means apparently either somebody, was it cowboy hat guy, maybe dehydrated Alpha, maybe he's had enough of fucking stew. Well, let this fucking kid go in and leg dive him and give him a fucking receipt, as they call it.
Yeah, why make something of this? For who?
There's no reason. For nobody. How would it? Oh, would it increase their exposure to the 70 people watching Raja? Oh, it's increased their exposure now. But I don't believe that.
Really? Most watch indie match of all time now.
Yes, from an ex fucking indie. But so they're going to make something out of it to fuck with fucking Stu in some fashion at the simplest, basic terms. They're going to fuck with Stu for being hit him with a can, let him leg dive him, give him a shot. And of course, they don't even bother to think through a receipt. What's that? Give him a good one. What is that? Or you say punch him in the mouth, but don't hit him in the goddamn cheek or the fucking eye, or don't break his nose, or good Lord, don't kick him in the balls so hard that his fucking testicles explode. That could be a good one, or a shot, or whatever. There's no instruction whatsoever. And here's another thing, and I don't care whether it's a wrestling school or a promotion. And as a manager over the 35 fucking years from start to finish that I was doing shit, I've worked with non-wrestling people, radio disc jockeys, or celebrities of some element that had to do something similar. I had a mixed tag team match with me and Stan Lane against Tim Horner and the principal of the East High School in Morristown, Tennessee. Jerry Williams, the stiffest old bastard that ever stepped foot in a wrestling ring. Because we taught him how to body slam me and pin me. And we didn't think to fucking tell him not to put the point of his elbow into my goddamn Adam's apple when he was pinning me and permanently mutilate me. But the point, you don't let any non-wrestling people, and that even extends to managers and referees sometimes, if you want something not only to look good but to be safe, there's extensive verbal communication if a walkthrough is not possible, and it's kept very basic. And you have, I've never just let two, and I mean, Psycho Stu, he may have been training for a long time, but you know, I don't know how experienced he might be, but you don't let really green people in there doing their own thing to each other. You have experience around them, whatever. This was completely unprofessional and totally bullshit and small time outlaw mud show. They didn't care what it looked like. There's nobody there. They have no pride in what they're fucking doing. Let's just let this fucking guy fuck with this other guy. And Raja Jackson is sitting there on the front row, and you can only see people on two sides of the ring. I don't know if there's anybody behind. Where the fuck, right? Or maybe there was 27 people there. But he's sitting there saying he's going to do all this, and then when he slides in and they shoot it and he does everything that he said he was going to do, nobody would have ever called that to begin with. So it's not like that they were making some. What was his impetus to do that? He had not even been in front of the meager audience that was there. There was no cause for him to just suddenly jump in there and do that. They're just like, who the fuck is this guy? And if they're trying to make people believe it's real, then idiot Jackson has already told him that they told him to do that. But he's also told the people watching his stream that he's not going to do what they said. He's going to really fuck the guy up. So who was this for?
It may be for the district attorney. We'll find out. I have a statement here, Jim.
Please.
This was put out by AJ Mana, M-A-N-A, if that is how you pronounce it. He was the cowboy hat wrestler. I want to take a moment to address the recent incident at Knox Pro. By the way, it's such a stupid spelling. K-N-O-K-X. Knox Pro.
Itch.
First and foremost, my thoughts are with Psycho Stu and his family. No one ever wants to see a fellow performer get seriously hurt. There's been a lot of speculation online about my role that night. The truth is, I was in character. And speaking...
Oh, jeez. Oh, come on.
And speaking in the language of wrestling. Everything I said was part of the show, and I never intended or encouraged real harm. This was a situation that unfortunately got out of hand due to a miscommunication behind the scenes. Wrestling is built on trust, respect, and protecting each other in the ring. That's what I stand for, and anyone who has worked with me knows that. I respect this business.
Apparently Doug doesn't.
I respect this business. I respect the fans, and I respect the performers who step between those ropes. I hope we can focus on Stu's recovery and making sure something like this never happens again.
Yeah, this was the guy that Doug said was a skinny, chicken-legged little bitch that had his ass kicked on a couple of fucking backyard fights and wanted to get somebody that was halfway trained to do his fighting for him, was Doug's description of the guy that just uttered that statement.
And actually, from the interview I saw, those are almost his exact words about this guy.
Yeah, I thought he was very eloquent. Yeah. Got down to the summation of the fucking thing.
This is like Colin Thompson putting out that statement saying, here are ways we could help the creators and change the business.
But anyway, so the thing is that obviously the WWE they immediately dropped these people off all the social media and they don't have an ID.
That's right.
Deal of for whatever that was worth anymore. But just again, as speaking as a person who's offended as a professional who used to own a legitimate wrestling training program, the fucking guy and his cameraman should have never been in the middle of the boys without being cleared and having someone escort him to meet anybody he wanted to meet or do something like that. Instead of just coming up and bullshit and shooting video on his own that wasn't cleared. When fucking Stu hit the guy in the head with a can, despite not having anybody tell him to do that. Somebody should have calmed Stu down and maybe told him to go home for the day at least. I don't know whose brilliant idea it was for this surly fucking Raja Jackson, who obviously wasn't taking things in a fucking fun spirit, to just suddenly jump into this match and spinebuster this guy, and even to do a spot where again, what was the plan? Give it a receipt. Was that the spinebuster that knocked him out? Or did they expect that he'd get on top of him and throw working punches? Did anybody show him how to do that or ask him whether he was going to do it? Or did they just leave it open to his interpretation as to how he should strike the guy once? And then he proceeds to do it 22 more times. And a guy from the back, when there's motherfuckers in the ring, except for the underage minor whose parents should be in contact with the insurance company, if any, of this fucking outlaw operation. Besides the underage minor, the guy from the back of the building was the one to get in there and do something about it while all these other motherfuckers were holding their dicks in their hands. That spot had to go through who? Who's running that show? Who's fucking that dog? And who's just holding its head? Who is the person in charge on behalf of the corporate entity that owns this fucking flea market that said, okay, let's do that spot in this match on the show? This fight.
What spot?
This is the spot where he fucking takes him down and goddamn does whatever the fuck to him.
Because the whole idea, we're going to do something with this on the show. What were they going to do? This guy's not a trained wrestler. What was he supposed to do?
That's what they said, double leg him and get a receipt. That's what I'm saying. And who approves that to be a part of the fucking match? Or is this a, hey, kids, let's put on a show where the boys just come up with their own shit in their match? In which case, why the fuck is the WWE involved? Oh, I forgot.
Oh.
Family. Well, but they're not anymore, but they were originally because of the fucking family. So he puts his name on this and he lets this shit go on.
And by the way,
so then, hold on. I'm not even done with the list yet. God damn it, now that I'm mad. So then somebody allowed this to happen and thought they was going to get a receipt. And then he gets 22 more and nobody will fucking come in. And then the fucking guy comes in and pulls. And then the motherfucker covers him and the referee counts it. Have these people, they are fantasizing that they are wrestlers. There is no level, there is no bar of competence anymore. There is no level of achievement. It used to be a halfway goddamn difficult thing to get into the goddamn wrestling business, and you didn't come in thinking you were smart because you were internet smart. There was no internet. But if you thought you were smart, you kept your mouth shut. And you had people that had been doing this for years and years teach you how the fucking thing worked. And none of these they might be a veteran dehydrated alpha. He's 100 years old. He might be a veteran, but he's an idiot. If he's responsible for any of this, you can be 100 years old and still be a goddamn nobody idiot. There is no excuse for this on any level that any kind of operation should be run like this. And the fact that now it is so easy for everybody to just call themselves, I'm a wrestler. I'm a professional wrestler. I'm a worker. And I'm working all the time, baby. In your fucking heads, you goddamn amateurs. I'm so sick and fucking fed up with this shit. None of y'all out there. I don't care how smart you think you are. You ain't as smart as you think you are to the fucking wrestling business. And whether it's the fucking guys that want to fantasize that they're fucking wrestlers on the weekends and then goddamn drink beer and fucking shave half their heads on the fucking weekdays to look like some kind of goddamn gimmick and parade around and say, I'm a big time wrestler, or the fucking little jack off local yokels that make Jack Pfeffer look like P.T. Barnum that want to run these mud shows, or the goddamn marks that want to dissect. Whose fault is it? Well, he said he's going to get a receipt. You fucking morons on both sides of it. You're all fucking morons. You have a simpleton's understanding of this industry that has almost been lost today because everybody thinks they're fucking smart. So this wrestling school ought to be shut fucking down. Raja Jackson ought to go to goddamn prison. I think the family of Stu should file civil suits against everybody that's involved in this that might have any kind of fucking homeowner's insurance, at least to cover anything. Everybody from the top down all the way up to Rampage for fucking impregnating whatever hyena spawned this goddamn simpleton. And then I think they ought to give 25% of it to fucking Doug for being the only fucking person to be of any help whatsoever in the whole goddamn thing. I'm sorry, but I'm kind of just ticked off.
And it's understandable. Speaking of Doug, the interview he did that we referenced earlier was on the Scaling Up podcast. It's on YouTube. We encourage people who are interested to check out this video interview. They also put up graphics, allegedly, from the school, Knox Pro, to various students or wrestlers that work with them, encouraging them not to talk to the police. Did you see that?
Actually, no, I didn't. I missed that one. Maybe I did. Well, no, as a matter of fact, I saw a headline and I didn't click on it. I just realized that now.
Apparently encouraging them not to cooperate with the police, and all the students, or at least a good amount of them, responded, "Yes, sir." Every one of them. "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir." Speaking of WWE, WWE has removed Knox Pro from its talent recruitment website. The promotion has removed the WWE ID branding from social media, and the WWE ID Twitter account has unfollowed Knox Pro, Rikishi, and the head trainer Black Pearl. So WWE distancing themselves. It makes you wonder why they originally even just associated with it. Obviously, the Samoans,
It's
the
a family. It was a favorite of the family.
tied in, but Miro came out of that school. I saw he tweeted out something, but a school is more than who owns it. And maybe a lot of people were spoiled over the years by what you were doing in OVW. People like Tom Pritchard out there, people who took it all serious. Like you said, everything you see on that video, beyond going past the attempted murder, everything else was concerning, just in terms of the maintenance and operation of a alleged wrestling company, whether it's a promotion or a school.
That anybody, that any of the, and I mean, okay, let's say that nobody was a real fucking fighter, Pinocchio, and wanted to jump this guy, but that they covered him afterwards and somebody counted. Just that, and just the way that they talk to each other, it's all internet smart outlaw bullshit. It's minor league, it's amateurish. And that's the thing. This got so much publicity.
Mainstream publicity, yeah.
Mainstream publicity that they just say a pro wrestler, a pro wrestling event, and you look at that, and people, again, mainstream, they don't know the difference, whether it's WWE, AEW, it's just pro wrestling. Look at these low rent, this bullshit that happens at wrestling. That's what gives the wrestling business a bad name. And I'm sorry, there was a lot of OVW shows that Danny Davis wasn't at. He was the owner. He was the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain. There was a lot of shows he wasn't at, but he knew everything that went on. And there were people there, whether it was me or a few others in his absence, that would not have tolerated any of that. And everybody up and down the card, before they were even allowed to be out in public in front of their first audience, their first match, would have known the basic principles that I just outlined. And none of that shit would have ever fucking happened. And that's just in the most basic of principles. There's structure and protocol in the wrestling business. And these people are just internet smart and fantasizing about doing shit on weekends. And yes, Miro may have come from there. And the reason why that they try to keep California wrestling schools on their radars, because there's always some fucking fighter or wannabe bodybuilder, or depending on the generation. When they wanted bodybuilders, they were in California. When they want fighters, they're in California. When they want fucking models, they're in California. But once they get John Cena was in California, and the rest of it, once they find them, they get them the fuck out of there, and then they train them. A lot of these guys, unfortunately, they're doing this on weekends. I don't mean to, I'm offended for this fucking guy who didn't deserve to get his face bashed in just because he's not a goddamn Mensa member. And just the business and the business of schools and the business of how it has been prostituted, and how easy and simple it has become for anybody to act like they're a part of something that they would have never, ever been able to be a part of on merit before. I yield the floor.
And we'll see what happens. Obviously, there's been a lot of mainstream coverage of this, and a lot of it has even centered on, when will this guy be arrested? What's actually going on with this? You'd have to think that, unless they're just going to ignore that video that just came out, that he has to be arrested. Also,
Who could do this and not? How can you do this and not be arrested? I don't know what is taking this long. And did Rampage have the Conor McGregor money? Did he just buy this off?
I don't know if he could do it that quickly, because also I don't know if it's going to go away. You know, in the past, something like this, if this took place in a state in the South, this may destroy wrestling for anyone else wanting to promote wrestling in the state. That's the kind of thing that used to happen in the past. But, you know, we'll see what happens with all this. You got to think if there's any lawsuit, it won't just be Roger Jackson. It'll be the promotion. They allowed this all to happen for no good reason. No one can give me any reason why. Hey, you know what? It'd be a good idea if we do some kind of angle with Rampage Jackson's son who no one knows. I don't think so.
Well, and again, as a matter of fact, I would be more than happy to lend a free and uncompensated statement on behalf of a person who ran a wrestling school at a pretty high level. All the various things that they did that was unprofessional and shouldn't have been done. It's almost the list of everything they did past brush their teeth that morning.
Well,
but Doug's my man. I like Doug.
And again, you can see that interview that just went up last night, I believe, as we are recording. And that's that story. We'll stay on top of it. I just hit something here. We'll stay on top of it as we find out more information. Jim, it's always awkward, but why not go with it? You know, perhaps you're one of these guys that thinks I'm a physical guy. I do MMA, I do boxing. I've always liked wrestling, whatever it may be. I want to go and be a wrestler. How many of these men would spend their time more wisely if they just created some sort of concoction and launched a website and started selling it to the world? And we know the perfect partner for this alleged concoction.
Well, it depends on what kind of concoction now, because you can't make a concoction without cock. And there's no, there's no limit to the thing. Well, it's
that
just
wasn't
the thing
where I was going, sir.
You got to think it all the way through, see? But what about a potion or a lotion? A potion that could cause emotion and make you need lotion for motion. Whatever you want to make or produce, let's say. Production is the key. Control production. You got to have a market. You got to have a marketplace. You got to have somebody. You got to have customers is what you need ultimately.
Yes.
And so in between the time that you make something, Brian, and the customer buys that thing from you, there's steps you need to go through. And you need somebody on your side. And Shopify is that person, because Shopify, actually, that's some double lingual plural shit there. Shopify is a major corporation, not a person. Yes. And did you hit a sour one there?
That wasn't a sour one. What are you talking
about? Little girl's pigtails get in the way of the bell.
It's not a kid on a bike. It's the official Shopify jingle.
Yes, that's not really a jingle, though.
No,
that's more of a
not.
ringle.
It's the official
Spurs.
Shopify Sonic branding.
But Shopify is not a person. It's a giant empire. So I can't say Shopify is the person. But nevertheless, Shopify is the huge empire behind millions of businesses around the world. Their commerce platforms, 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. Think of how many billions and billions of dollars that entails, goes right through Shopify and that purple pay button. Somebody takes their finger, boom, hits that button, you get money. If you are indeed the person they're buying from, and that's what Shopify is going to help you do. They're going to take your thing, whatever your thing is that you want to sell. Certain restrictions apply in some states. And they're going to market that thing. They're going to design the website. They're going to enhance your product images. They're going to write the descriptions. They're going to generate the discount codes. They're going to run the easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. It's going to get your word out. And then, if all else fails, they're going to go door to door, knock on people's doors, and they're going to have a small bucket in their hand. They're going to say, please give to this needy. Yes, and every time that somebody gives and they ring that bell, that an angel turns around and gets a hot dog.
There's going to be no angels with hot dogs, and of course they don't go door to door. It is something where they are there for you when you need them online, where all commerce is done today.
Oh, so they're there for you, but at a distance. They're not going to crowd you, is what you're saying.
You won't be crowded. You'll be able to operate your business the way you would. You'll be able to sell your products the way only you.
Well, don't tell them that. If they operate the business the way they will, they'll go out of business. They'll go broke. No, they need Shopify because Shopify's smarter than these knuckleheads out there.
That's right.
That's right. And Shopify is always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support, where you just make an appointment 24/7 and they'll come over to your house, sit down, have a cup of coffee, put their arm around your shoulders and support you and tell you that bankruptcy's not the end.
Virtual support.
There's a way to come back from just because your wife and children have left you because you're a failure and can't support them.
They will not be supplying you with legal advice or therapeutic options. What Shopify is there to do is there to help you with your products. Get online, get in front of the biggest store, make it easy to buy things like they do for us, ArcadianVanguard.com.
Yes.
Go to the shop app, search for Jim Cornette. There's a reason those shirts pop up. And that reason is Shopify. Jim, oh my God. There's just so many sounds and things happening right now. I don't know how we're going to be able to keep track of this tornado
it's like an amusement park. Folks, turn your dreams into the cha-chinging and give them those dreams there the best shot at success that you can with Shopify. And you can sign up right now for your $1 a month trial period and start selling today at shopify.com/JCE. Shopify.com/JCE. It's only $1 a month for the trial period. And then you'll be hooked and you'll be millionaires and you'll be farting through silk.
No guarantees.
And kids on bicycles will come in every day pouring money in your coffers.
Again, it's not a kid on a bicycle, and that's not how it works, but they are there for you. Take care of your business. A great deal to get started. Shopify.com/JCE.